welcome to October and Fire Up. Are we all fired up?
Hell yeah.
Fall is here.
Yay. Well, I know Jeremy's sitting, smile. Look at that smile on his face. Something happened today with his team. Jeremy, what happened?
They put up crooked numbers. Holy cow. They didn't leave 5 million runners on base. They didn't strike out 18 times in the game. It was a good game. Timely hitting there in that seventh inning to take that big lead to go from 2 to 6 to 1, and then made them play catch up. And that's not Cleveland Guardians ball. Do you agree with that assessment, Adam?
I do. They had 3 rookies starting this series. I think combined total of 40 or 56 games this year total. The one Verluth was on his second game in the majors. There was also, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there were 3 players on the Guardians roster that were all batting under 200. This team accomplished a lot this year.
They did.
From where they were. They were 15 back at the break. They were the first team ever to come back and win the division in MLB history.
Yes.
And a lot of people also don't realize that they were under 511 back at the start of September. And to take 5 of 6 against the Tigers in the final stretch really helped them. I'm glad they won the division outright instead of saying, oh, we tied them and we won the tiebreaker. So Stephen Vaught should be in consideration for manager of the year for sure. And remember, this team also has traded Shane Bieber in the middle of all this, and then all the gambling episodes with Clase and Ortiz. This team went through a lot of drama and overcame it. And to be off to that slow start, it starts to look a little more clear in the pictures. Whenever you see why Clase was blowing games, he would look like to be betting on himself now that all that's come out. So that really could have hurt them in the beginning of the year. But yeah, I don't feel bad because a lot of people blew this team off at the break. But if you stayed and just watching here and there and just paying attention, you really seen the difference, and they really gelled, and there's a lot of young players on this team, so they're gonna be good, and so they're gonna be good next year. So yeah, that's and I still can't stand Javi Baez, so fuck it.
Hey, this is a family show.
I couldn't stand him on the Cubs, but now I can't stand him for sure. Because it's the second time he's beaten the Guardians, the World Series in 2016, obviously. And then this charades.
When is the last time that the Indians/Guardians won the World Series? Was it 1948?
Yeah, if it wasn't for 2016, how long would it have been? Or no. When's the last time Detroit won the World Series?
84.
So
there was 3 teams that in the playoffs that have never won the World Series: the Brewers, the Mariners, and the Padres. Now the Padres are out because the Cubs took that series. So there are still 2 teams in it that have never won.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Brewers win, it would definitely be for, up out of here.
Yes. The Brewers and Cubs start their series on Saturday. Now, the interesting thing about them is they have played each other in spring training Cactus League games since the Brewers franchise began as the Seattle Pilots back in 1969. However, the rivalry didn't begin until 1998, really, because that's when the Brewers moved from the American League to the National League.
Yep.
And that's when they left the other Chicago rivalry and became Brewers rivalry now. But it'll be interesting. This season, the 2 head-to-head, the Cubs actually won 4 out of 3. Or the record is 4-3, with the Cubs having the edge. But the Brewers are on house money. Like, I know nobody thought that they would be where they are At the beginning of the season, there's really not many named players on that team. Yes, Christian Yelich, but he's probably one of the most famous ones on the team. But they're playing. I mean, they ended the season with the best record in baseball, franchise record, 97 wins this year. Hey, you never know. That's why we play the game, and I can only hope my Brewers take it to the Cubbies.
What's funny is I remember talking with you back during the off season, and you asked me what was my minimum expectations for the Tigers. And I literally said before all the games even started, before the spring ball started, 85 wins or better. And I said probably second place in the division. Now, did I know I jinxed them because they had a 15.5 game lead on July 8th?
Right.
No, I didn't know that. But at the same time, that was a pretty good. I think I was one of the closest ones that I heard in this type of community for guessing what their win total would have been prior to the season being played.
I mean, they
I
met
had
your
the Cup.
expectations, just
ahead,
not
Sam.
what you imagined.
Right.
Right.
I was confident they could get second place in the division because I thought they were the second place team with how they finished the year before. I literally thought that all the way through. And as July came through, I was one of the few that was like telling people, breathe, they'll come back. And August, they got better. And then September fell apart again. But that's what slumps do.
I picked the Cubs to win the Central, so I did not pick the Brewers. I had the Brewers in second place, though.
Mm-hmm.
I did have the Reds making the play. I called like 5 of the teams in the beginning, which is tough to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people laughed at me when I picked Seattle to win the division because a lot of people had the Rangers, which obviously if they wouldn't have got injured, that would have. I mean, they lost so many people. The Rangers lost pretty much their whole team.
Right. And now they lost their manager.
Yep.
Oh, did he get fired today?
They mutually parted ways.
I like Bushi. Old school guy, didn't play by analytics crap, and really, he was I like him as a coach. I think the Pirates need him, but Don Kelly's doing a good job right now.
Samir, what are your thoughts on the playoffs so far?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like for the National League especially, I think I only got 3 out of the 6 right. I think before the season, my picks were I did pick the Cubs, I picked the Padres and the Dodgers and the Phillies. So I got 4 of them. But I did have the Mets and the Braves making it as well. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. I did not get the Reds or the Brewers. I thought the Brewers, honestly, after last year would, I think, take a small step back. And I actually had the Cubs winning the Central. And it seemed like the Cubs are going to win the Central. But then in June, July, the Brewers just went on that hot stretch and they ended up winning the division.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I see the dark side just took a 4-0 lead. Huh?
I saw that.
Ooh, that the Yankees.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll always call them that. Sorry.
And it was 17-7 last I looked for the NFL.
Yep.
Yes.
There was a fumble already by LA. They've had some miscommunication offensively, which is not the usual thing for them.
And then Stafford took the next drive and took him down the field and scored, I believe. Kyron Williams. I saw Williams and McCaffrey scored. I don't know who's got the other touchdown.
I'm going to look right now.
Probably the tight end. That's my guess. The Rams aren't very good at covering tight ends.
Tonjes?
I think that's the backup tight end. I might be wrong, though.
That is the backup tight end. It's
that's the
Christian
starting
McCaffrey.
tight end now. That's the starting tight end.
Oh, yeah.
Now.
Yeah, it is the backup because Kittle's hurt. He's had 3 catches for 23 yards, 7.7 average, a long of 11 with a tutty on 4 targets.
No, well, what's crazy is that I know Kyle Shanahan gets a lot of heat, but he has his team up by 10 on the road without his tight end, I think without his top 2 wide receivers, without his elite defensive end, and without his quarterback. So, I mean, say what you want about him. He knows how to get the most of what he has.
I've seen
In
Kyle
the regular
Shanahan up
season,
10.
Huh?
in the
I've seen-
Kyle Shanahan. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Jerry. I was just saying I've seen Kyle Shanahan up 10 before.
And I
Only
was
to
going
blow
to say
in the Super Bowl.
we seen him up by what was it, 28 in the Super Bowl and lose as the
It's
offensive
25.
coordinator of Atlanta. Oh, a 25 point.
The field goal.
He wasn't a head coach, though. You can't put it on him.
Yeah, you can't.
He was the offensive coordinator, and Dan Quinn was the defensive coach, and it was all on him.
Yeah, they just missed a field goal.
Who did, Rams or 49ers?
Yeah.
Joshua Carty at it again.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Okay, Jeremy, you had a couple of topics you wanted to talk about.
Yes. Fantasy football, is it actually helping or hurting fandom when it comes to your team, not the player?
You mean like rooting wise, Germ, or you mean like
There's some people that are so into fantasy that they actually stop rooting as much for their favorite teams, is what I'm saying.
but they're rooting for their new favorite team, the one they made.
Right.
Different players, the collection of players.
The collection of
Right.
players, the individuals, is what I'm saying. They're more rooting for the individuals than their own home team at times.
I'm sure they still root for their home teams, Germ. Like I get it. I'm in 6, 7 different leagues. So it's hard for me to like just focus. Like I'll watch my game. I'll listen to the Steelers game. But at the same time, like I want to watch Red Zone and see what my players are doing.
I was just
Because that's just the way it is. I mean, and then if one of my guys is playing against the Steelers, I mean, do I do this when they score and I'm like, oh man, my team just let go a touchdown? As long as it's my guy, I'm like, I'm okay with it. But that's just me. I mean, I'm sure everyone looks at it that way because everyone wants to win. No one wants to sit in mediocrity.
right.
I think, but for someone like me, I used to play fantasy football all the time, and Scott and I stopped playing because we wanted to really just be able to enjoy the games instead of always trying to root for who do I have, who did I put in this week, and did I put the right person in, and let's see how they're doing, and let's root for all the individual players. So I guess it just depends on if you're in fantasy or if you're not playing fantasy. I think it changed the way I watched football with playing fantasy football.
I think what changed things the most is like the DFS on FanDuel, DraftKings,
Betting.
how you start your daily lineup. Yes, the betting on that lineup right there, because that now we got money involved.
Mm-hmm.
Now like you pick your daily lineup, and all of a sudden you're more interested in seeing if you're winning,
Right,
than you are what's going on around the NFL.
So is there more betting on like fantasy and those little things, or is there more betting yet on picking the games?
Well, I think a lot of people do the individual games all the time. Like there's, you could do the playoff games. You could do the baseball where you pick your captain, and all of a sudden you pick 4 different players to go with it and fill it out with how much money they give you, what, 50 grand or so to spend on 6 players. And, you try and pick your best lineup, and all of a sudden you're rooting for that because you want to win.
Right.
All of a sudden it becomes not cheering for the team you want to win.
Right. I think what I was going to say to add on to that, Candy, you mentioned how it changed the way you watch the game. I think in a way it can help because if you're a fan of a losing team and your fantasy team is doing well, it's like, okay, I've got this to fall back on. So it kind of softens that blow of being a fan of a losing team when you have a fantasy team that does really well every year. But on the flip side, overall, it does hurt team fandom, but to a very small extent. Like, for example, but overall, it doesn't hurt that much. Overall, it really doesn't hurt that much, is what I'm trying to say. And that's because, as we're talking about, pretty much an overwhelming majority of people who are NFL fans aren't like NBA fans, where you see a ton of NBA fans who are fans of an individual player like LeBron James or Steph Curry instead of team fans. Overwhelming majority of NFL fans are not like that. They're fans of a team. Also, if you're the NFL, there is a chance that it helps you from a financial standpoint because a lot of people who have fantasy teams and are invested in fantasy will buy Red Zone or are going to buy the YouTube package. And so that way they can watch their team's game and then check other games to see how their fantasy players on other teams are doing. But when it does hurt, it just hurts in small, minor ways. Like overall, I think it's more of an inconvenience, if that makes sense. So it does impact how fans evaluate talent. Like there are good players in the NFL who are wide receivers, who are running backs, who really by a lot of casual fans don't get a lot of notice because those people are so invested in fantasy. They're only familiar with guys on their fantasy teams who are big name fantasy guys. And especially up front with their offensive line and the impact they have on the game, that's kind of been ignored. But I feel like since the league is starting to shift more to the run game and the resurgence of running backs and the NFL recently adopting Protector of the Year award, I think that's kind of making a comeback in a way. Also, overall, how fans react to injuries. Like if a guy on their team gets hurt or goes out for the season, it's like, oh, well, there goes my fantasy team. That's the first reaction a lot of fans have. Instead of worrying about the guy's health, they're worrying about their team. And also, it changes how we watch games. Like if you're at an NFL game, if you're watching your team play on TV and you have a favorite player on your team who also plays for your fantasy team and you get in the red zone, it's like, just get the ball to this player. Like make sure Bajan gets his touches instead of just worrying about your team scoring. So really overall, no, it really hasn't impacted fandom to the extent as of which I think Hurricane said betting and FanDuel and whatnot has.
Interesting. What do you think, Jeremy?
Well, I've seen it where people talk down about their players because they didn't perform well in fantasy because they took a flyer on this nobody. And I hate that logic when you're talking about your own team. Because what if it's because they're not being used properly, not so much they didn't play well. So I'm more of the team first guy. I set my rosters on Saturday. If I have anybody that's playing Thursday that's worthy of it, I put them in on Wednesday and I let it ride.
Yeah.
And because you know what? They're on your roster. If you think they're going to have a good game, put them in. But I really don't pay attention. I pay attention to my team.
I have a question. We're all sports people, right?
Yep.
Can you keep up with the red zone?
Yes.
I've learned that some of my friends can't, and they're like, I can't watch this. I need to watch one game and focus on one game only. And they'll look at me and go, you can tell me everything that's going on in most of these games. And I'm like, yeah, because it's right there in front of me. And and they're like, if you're watching one game, you have trouble watching it. So Red Zone has made me so tuned in to see what's going on everywhere, where it's hard for me to focus on one game. Does anyone else have that problem or just me? That might not even be a problem, actually.
If my team is on, it's really easy for me to focus. If it's another team and there's other games playing at the same time, I want to know what's going on in all those games that are on at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the Lions are playing at 4:25, I'm not having another game up. But like the 1 o'clock games, I'm going to have Red Zone up so it pops through all 8 games that are going on at that time. It's the same as if you're watching Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. You don't have anything else to focus on, so there's nothing to take your attention away.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, if my team is playing, I'm watching my team. Well, and it's a little different in my house because we have separate teams, so they're not always playing at the same time. And if they are playing at the same time, we have one on TV and one on computer, and we're watching our separate games because we want to see the whole game because we want to evaluate our team wholly as opposed to just watching Red Zone, for at least for us.
I was just curious because my friend, this came up as a conversation the other day over my buddy's house, and I just wanted to get you guys all opinions on it.
Look at that. He was respectful of the Packers this time. Motown Mitch, good to see you, brother.
Yes. Do you think fantasy football has changed the casual fans?
Yes, 100%. That's more of where I was going. It's not your diehards. Your diehards are your diehards. They don't waver. They don't bandwagon. They don't jump ship. They stick with their team. My thing with the Lions was for decades. It was, what AFC team will I root for this year when the Lions don't make the playoffs? That's the way I used to think, because I refused to root for another NFC team.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has impacted the casual fan. I think the only way it really has impacted, if anything, again, as I mentioned earlier, just how we evaluate players or how people evaluate players. Like for example, a casual fan will see Isaac Tesla. How do you say his name? Tesla. How do you say Isaac? Tesla. And think, oh, who is this guy? Because who is this guy? Is he any good? Because he's not a household name in the fantasy community.
Right.
You'll have a guy like Tyler Algier, one of the better backup running backs in the NFL, and could start for over half the teams in the NFL. And the casual fan, a lot of the casual fans probably don't even know who he is because he's not a household name in fantasy. So that's the way I think it has impacted player evaluation, if that makes sense.
Jeremy, he brought up Tesla. How high am I on him?
We both have him in our keeper league.
I have him in all my dynasty leagues. So
yeah.
So yeah, I get what you're saying. There's some air.
There's lots of fantasy leagues out there. I was talking about the guillotine leagues, and then there's the Reaper leagues, and everybody's like, "Well, what's that?" The Reaper league, you actually have like a ghost team, and it's auto drafted, right?
Who's number 10 on San Francisco? Sorry,
that's
number 10, Mac Jones.
Yeah,
the Mac and Cheese show.
He just went down.
I saw that.
Oh, not good.
And he's grabbing his leg, so I don't.
So their third string is that? No, it's not Dobbs. He's in the Patriots now. I
don't know who their third guy is. Wow. And he's not having a bad game. He's got 65.2. He's got 65.2 completion percentage, 179 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Are we going to see another Christian McCaffrey quarterback game? Because Motown Mitch, number 10 is Mac Jones for the 49ers.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe Josh Johnson is on the roster.
You got me looking now.
Ooh. Ooh.
Ouch. He looked like he was in pain too, so.
Yeah, well, Brock Purdy has turf toe, and they find out, I think on Monday if it requires surgery or not. If it's the surgical type of turf toe, then it's just like Joe Burrow. He won't be back the rest of the season.
Adrian Martinez.
Oh, I know who he is. He came out of Kansas State. His last year, his senior year, I did scouting profile on him because he was a UDFA signed by the Lions. In his career for Kansas State, he had 51 touchdowns and 59 interceptions. Excuse me, and 51 interceptions and 8 fumbles lost. So he had 59 turnovers. He had 8 more turnovers than he had touchdowns in his career as a starter.
Ouch.
But
Ouch.
he is very athletic. He has a big arm. He's not afraid to throw it. The problem is the space between the ears. Sometimes he throws it into bad spots down the field. The decision making isn't there.
Yep.
Yeah, it says, yeah. I saw as he had his leg injuries down on the field. So
Does it look like he's holding his knee?
he's holding his knee. Yeah.
Yes, right around his knee. Yep.
Mhm.
And it was his left knee, right? I think.
I think it was the left one. Yeah.
Yep,
Not
and played for Nebraska before that. You're absolutely right. But he ended up, I think, at Kansas State or Kansas, one of the two. I believe it was K-State.
It was Kansas State.
Okay.
Kansas State. I just looked. Okay, Adrian Martinez. Let's go.
All right.
I don't know
All
who you're
right.
gonna
Let's
throw
take,
to,
let's
but
make the Rams win now.
I
So
am
my
not
picks
rooting
are
for the
right.
Rams. You're crazy. I'll go put my Niners hat on before I cheer for the Rams. And I'll put on my Eric Davis jersey.
Can't hear.
No, my great nephew came in the door. He just turned 5 today, and he doesn't understand boundaries.
Ah, okay. Okay. I don't. Anyway, next topic, Jeremy. You also had another one that I thought was really good.
How many blocked field goals are we going to see this year? It's amazing how many we've seen. I know we've seen 9 in the past 2 weeks.
Well, you've seen 2 against my team.
One returned for 2 points. One was the difference maker in that game, because when that 2 points happened, that was when the swing happened and Dallas got back in the game, because at that point it was 13-0.
I would argue that both of them were, even though Cleveland didn't score points off that. That made a difference too in that game. So yeah, these blocked field goals, not good.
Yes. Yeah.
So wait, are you a Browns fan?
I'm not a Browns fan. I'm a Packers fan. Why are we seeing more of these blocked field goals?
I think my bad.
You go first.
I think one theory I have is that this year apparently the NFL is using a new ball for longer field goals and kickoffs. So maybe the new ball is traveling a little differently when it's kicked off of when a player kicks it. So maybe the different trajectory, maybe it's going in more of a line drive motion initially than maybe upwards, which could be resulting in more blocks. I don't think we know for sure, but I looked earlier today and it is apparently the most blocked field goals in the NFL through 4 weeks since 1991.
Right. It's been 18 blocked field goals so far this season. The other thing you can credit to is all of the guys that are the long ballers that everybody is talking about: Jake Bates, Joshua Carty, Cam Little, Harold Mevis. All these guys, guess what they used to be? Soccer kickers, which means they're used to kicking at long distances at a lower trajectory. So if you're lowering the trajectory on your kick, that's why some of them look like they're barely clearing the crossbars when they're out there past 50 yards. It's going to make it easier for somebody to jump up at the line and bat it down.
Wasn't this the first year too? And I don't know how long, but wasn't this the first year we had a defensive back come from the left side and block a kick?
I think, yeah.
I don't know when it happened, but I remember hearing about it.
I believe, was that one of the Dallas ones? Wasn't it by a corner?
It was a cornerback, yeah.
I think it was one of the ones versus Green Bay.
It might
And
have
I'm
been.
not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be mean and rub
I
salt
know.
in the wound.
I know. No.
I mean, they were there. I remember hearing someone say something about it, but I don't remember what team.
Jake Bates' family owns a masonry sales place. And yes, he did work for him after he graduated college. He got offered by the Michigan Panthers a job to be their field goal kicker because he was the place kicker for Houston College, which is the same place where Cam Little came from. Cam Little had the better accuracy, whereas Jake Bates actually had the bigger leg. So they would use him to boot it through the back of the end zone, which 92% of his kickoffs in college were touchbacks.
And then now Gross Matos from the 49ers, he just limped off the field.
Oh, my.
So the
I
49ers,
see Patty Grimes said that Jones ran off the field. I don't know.
Yeah, they're
I
saying
don't-
he's questionable to come back right now.
Okay.
he's on the sideline right now.
With his helmet or without?
Without, but the Rams have the ball right now without a
Oh, okay.
helmet. So
Okay.
Well, so out of the new coaches this year, how would you rate them so far?
overall a mixed bag. I would say Kellen Moore, he doesn't really have much to work with. He has a horrible roster. So I mean, we can't really evaluate him so far. The Saints were picked to be at or near the bottom of the NFL before the season, and it's looking like it's going to be that way. Mike Vrabel, overall, he's 2-2. I think he's done a solid job with the Patriots. I do expect them to be a lot better this year than they have been the last couple of years, simply because of the coaching upgrade. Brian Schottenheimer, he's got that offense playing well. I think they are at or near the top of the league in a lot of offensive categories. Apparently, they can't play defense. Seems like they could have used an elite edge rusher right now. So there's that. Ben Johnson has his team playing a lot better since the Detroit game when they got 51 dropped on them. They beat 52. They beat the Cowboys, and then they come back and beat the Raiders on the road in a blocked field goal. Caleb Williams is looking like a first overall pick. Roma Dunze showing why he's a top 10 pick. I think Colston Loveland and Luther Burden are starting to get a little more involved in the offense. So seems like things are trending upward for the Bears. They do play the Commanders after the bye week, which should be an interesting game. Who are the other new head coaches?
Liam Cohen.
Oh,
Liam Cohen.
He's got his team 3-1. If they just get a passing game going, I think there's a very good chance, given the way Houston looks, and I don't know if Indianapolis can maintain their pace. I don't know if Daniel Jones can keep playing at the pace he's played at. Jacksonville is a good shot at winning that division if they can get that passing game going. So there's Liam Cohen,
Aaron Glenn, and Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Pete Carroll and Aaron Glenn, there's not a lot for them to work with there, so I'm not really surprised about that. I think it's going to – I mean, I kind of feel bad for Aaron Glenn, if anything, because I like him. I think he is a good coach. He just has to he just has to coach the Jets, unfortunately.
And he has to deal with the New York media.
Yeah.
Which is very brutal. And that may demoralize him.
He played there, so he kind of might have an idea on how to navigate it.
I think being a player and a coach are two different things when it comes to the media.
All right.
Okay.
He's back in the game. So, what are your topics, Andy?
What are my topics? I don't know that I have any topics. I mean, I'm just kind of coming up. The coaches one was a good one, I thought. I mean, because 4 weeks in, we had a whole bunch of new coaches.
Right now, you'd have to say Liam Combs, the cream of the crop, and everybody else is playing catch up.
think we can't judge Aaron. I think we can't judge Aaron Glenn or Kellen Moore until their tenures are over.
Right. The bad part is I think Kellen Moore won't get the shot in New Orleans. His shot will come in his second stint because the Saints are that bad with their salary cap.
Yeah.
The salary, when the salary goes away, I think the Saints will be a better team again.
Well, it depends. If Mickey Loomis is still their GM, which I don't think he will be, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that was our biggest talk was Kellen Moore needs at least 5 years on that team to get, we believe, the ship to be going right. But will they give him 5 years? Who knows?
Yeah, the problem is they were last year they were 90 million over the cap. This year they were 60 million. So they managed to navigate through 30 million before they had to renegotiate people again. Next year it's supposed to be around 40 million over the cap still. When you figure in because everybody forgets the reason why it's projected to be what it is now is because you don't have the added money for whatever NFL revenue goes over. Yeah. Because I think a percentage of that automatically goes towards salary cap.
I think for Kellen Moore, it's kind of a unique situation because it's dependent on mainly two factors. Number one, I don't see Mickey Loomis being there much longer. I think he's going to retire, or then maybe they let him go in the near future. So they're going to have a new general manager, and maybe the general manager decides he wants to bring in his own guy. That could impact how things go. And also, I don't really think people are going to judge him until he gets a chance at his quarterback. I think once he gets his quarterback in the room, that is when you're officially in the call, in my opinion.
Okay, since we're talking NFL, what game this week are you most looking forward to in the NFL? Don't all speak up at once.
Wait, what's the question?
Since we're talking NFL, what game this week in the NFL are you looking most forward to watching or following?
The Broncos are playing the Eagles in Philly. I know Bo Nix hasn't gotten off to a great start so far. The Broncos defense so far looks as advertised. Nick Bonito might be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. PS2 is still PS2. The Eagles, it seems like their offense is starting, ever since the second half of the Rams game, their offense is kind of starting to get back on track a little bit. So we'll see what goes on there. And then the Bucs and the Seahawks, which the Seahawks really have exceeded my expectations for them going into this season. Mike McDonald has them playing really well. Sam Darnold, I think he's answered the question on whether it was him or if he was too dependent on KOC. I think he looks as good, if not better, than he did in Minnesota last year.
Mine actually is because of what happened to the Chargers in the Giants game. I want to see that bounce back game. They got with the Washington Commanders coming in. Jaden Daniels is back practicing. It will be nice to see if that O-line can stop the defensive line, because Washington still has a dominant defensive front. It's the rest of the defense that is lackluster.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bucs have a lot of injuries. I saw Baker was questionable, but it is looking like as of today he's going to play. I think Mike Evans is still out.
They got Chris Godwin. They still have Godwin. They still have.
They've got
it doesn't look like Bucky Irving's on pace to play either.
I think Bucky's out. So,
but Ibuka's still there, and so's Chris Godwin. They still got Rashad White, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sterling Shepard, Sterling Shepard. He just got cleared as a healthy. He's not on the injured list anymore.
And
If
Tristan
Baker
Wirfs
plays,
is back,
God,
and I think one of their
yeah,
guards is supposed to be coming back this week too. He got upgraded from
Yeah.
doubtful to questionable. And if
Mhm.
that happens, if they get that guard back, that's going to improve the interior O-line play, which will help Rashard White a lot.
Okay. Let's shift to a little college football.
oh shit.
What games are we looking forward to this weekend? I'm going to say I'm looking forward to watching Miami and Florida State. I want to see how that game turns out. That could be a real tough game for both teams. I think it'll be interesting. It's going to be at Florida State, which is a loud stadium. And so that's what
Miami.
the Hurricanes, yep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
they should win.
It's at Florida State.
It's at Florida State, yes.
If I wanted to be a homer, I'd say Wisconsin at Michigan, but we know that that's really not as big a contest as everybody thinks it is. Mine is actually Vanderbilt at Alabama, number 16 versus number 10. I think that might be a matchup nightmare for Alabama because Vanderbilt's been playing some good ball as of the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just about to say Vanderbilt and Alabama. Another one is Kentucky and Georgia. They're going to beat Kentucky, but how are they going to look overall offensively and defensively? They look kind of sloppy in the second half last week. They had a lot of chances to win that game against Alabama and couldn't. How are they going to bounce back at home against Kentucky?
I still trust it. It was as soon as I saw that Baker was trending towards playing because they announced that yesterday. I said, well, as long as Baker's playing, I like him. I like him better than Sam Darnold. I'm going to choose Baker out of those two teams on straight up versus the points. And I think even though they're home, they're a road dog. I mean, they're a home dog this week, right? Isn't Seattle being given points?
Yeah, I think the Bucks are favored.
Yeah, the Bucks are favored, and home dogs usually cover the spread. 85% of the time, I always take a home dog.
What do we think of Clemson versus North Carolina?
Two basketball schools playing. Yay.
I mean, Clemson is not the powerhouse that they've been as of late, so what do we think? And it's at North Carolina.
I think Clemson might be in trouble.
I'm taking North Carolina. Clemson just doesn't. They just seem to be all over the place,
And
they don't seem to be playing as a team.
Yeah,
they just seem to be just.
But at the same time, is that who Bill's coaching for?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been doing well either.
Yeah.
So it's a toss-up, but I would have to say the edge goes to North Carolina in this one because
it's at Chapel Hill, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the edge still goes to Clemson only because they are just simply a more talented team.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill's more interested in selling his girlfriend's jewelry line, like the pendants that say Gold Digger.
Okay. Well, I think it's time for Samir. Did you have any topics you wanted to bring? Nope. Why don't we do? Adam, do you have any topics you wanted to bring?
No, I know we're getting close because Jeremy got to get out of here. So let's.
I was gonna say, let's do my town and then tell everybody how they can get a hold of each of you, and we'll go around the horn. We'll start out with Samir.
Yeah. So first off, I'm with Sideline Sports as always. You can find me on X. My handle's down there, ATL_Samir2401. I post a lot of Atlanta sports content, some of my own articles on there as well. And you can find me on Fire Up on Thursday night. So we had Hawks Media Day this past week, which kind of signals the start of the NBA season. There's a lot of excitement around the Hawks, and and what the expectations are for them. Hopefully, if everyone stays healthy, there's no reason as to why this team should be in the play-in again. The Braves wrapped up their most disappointing season since 2017. They missed the playoffs for the first time since 2017, had a losing record for the first time since as well, 76-86. It also officially marked the end of an era. Wednesday, the team and Brian Snitker announced that he would retire and that he will now take an advisory role. The search for a new manager has already begun. If I were to guess who the new manager would be, given how the Braves organization does things and they kind of like to stay in house, my guess is that Walt Weiss will be the new manager. 40 Brian Snitker, almost 50 years with the organization. Started off, I think, as a catcher in the farm league, was a coach in the minor leagues for a long time and was a third base coach. Then was a manager for the AAA team, then got the interim job in 2016. A lot of the players pushed for him to be the full-time manager, and he ended up getting the job. And the 811 wins, 6 division titles, and a World Series later, the rest is history. And behind Bobby Cox, he's probably the second best coach / manager in Atlanta sports history, and given what the 2 other teams have had. Speaking of which, Falcons got a much-needed win against the shorthanded Commanders. Michael Penix had his best day as a pro, 20 for 26, 313 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Seems like Bijan Robinson, Offensive Player of the Month. Xavier Watts, Defensive Rookie of the Month. Kyle Pitts. Is Kyle Pitts back? We'll see. 2-2, they have a bye, and then Buffalo comes to town. And that's it for my team.
Since I know you have to go shortly, why don't you go with how we can find you and what's happening in your town?
All right. You can find me at Smokin' Jeremy on X/Twitter. You can find me at Jeremy Balrick on Facebook. You can find me at the Motor City Kneecap Fighting page on Facebook. Kneecap Fighting with the Motor City Lions page on Facebook. You can also find it on the same name on YouTube. You can find me on the Huddle Sports Network on Facebook and YouTube. You also can find me right here on the South Florida Tribune, where I not only do shows and host with Candy and occasionally be a guest on Inside the Pigskin, you can also find my writings on SouthFloridaTribune.com. My town, the Tigers head to Seattle on Saturday to take on a very powerful lineup. While he was griping about having 5 guys that were hitting 200, we have a whole team that hasn't hit above 270. So it didn't look like that today. Hopefully that what we saw today is what continues, that they finally got the confidence back in their bat, because they batted today more like they did when they were bullying teams prior to the letdown.
Jeremy, real quick, tell me something that was different between Detroit in the regular season and Detroit in the playoffs. Real quick.
I just think there was a little bit of that slump carryover in the beginning. That's why we didn't see very many runs scored in the first 2 games. And then something clicked and they remembered who they were. They leveled off their swings. They were doing short, compact swings, hitting it to the open spots in the outfield. Not everybody was just swinging for the fences. And I think that was the biggest difference. Playing a little bit of small ball.
They had 3 bunts in this series and they had 5 all season.
Small ball.
That stat should stand out everywhere, because that tells you how much Detroit did not rely on the bunt, and then they did it 3 times in 3 games.
Didn't they do it once in the first game and then twice in this?
They did it twice. They did it 3 times. Didn't they do it 3 times in the game 2?
They did it once in the first game, right? And then they did it twice.
Did they do it 3?
Then that would be 4 times. That would be 4 times in the series then. Because I know they did 1 in the first game. That's how they got the 1 run home.
Yeah, cheesy.
Hey, I love it. Suicide.
Yeah, whatever.
Make a decision.
Okay, Adam. Jeremy, you done or?
And the Lions go to play the Bengals, who have basically Trey Hendrickson for defense, and going up against an O-line that hasn't given up a sack in 3 weeks.
Okay. Adam, how can people find you and what's happening in your town?
At Sports Talking It on Twitter, Driving to the Top Productions on YouTube. You can get me there on Tuesday, Wednesday evening, and if anyone else invites me to the show, like you guys do, you can find me over there. Obviously, we share it to my channel, so I kind of call it like like a sideshow, I guess. I don't know. I thank you for inviting me on. I enjoy this conversation. And around my town, obviously the Guards lost today, and that's my summer team up there at the camp. But a lot of good still, a lot of young talent still coming out of there. So very excited about what's going to happen. Not that city councilwoman today proposed to get rid of Bob Nutting, who since 2008 is 1,354 and 16 and 19 as a owner record. Horrible. Haven't seen the playoffs in 10 years. I've been calling for Nutting to step down for years. I remember when Lemieux and Cuban were trying to buy this team together, and a lot of the media shut that down because that means they would have essentially owned all three teams, had some kind of piece of ownership. And what else? Jalen Ramsey's injured. Good thing it's a bye week. Calvin Austin's injured. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens here. The Penguins are made their final cuts, getting ready to see the puck drop. Sidney Crosby, Malkin, and Letang getting ready for 20 plus seasons all together on the same team. And I know right now Florida is trying to get one of these three off of us because of Barkov. And that's around my town right now.
Jeremy, if you need to go, you can go. That's fine.
Yep. Real quick, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. We loved all the comments. Christopher Cole, Patty Grimes, Motown Mitch. You guys were great. Thank you for watching. And have a great night, everybody. Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Samir. Thank you, Adam. I loved that you were here. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Good luck getting to the airport, buddy.
Oh, yeah, it's just across town, but I just got to get out now because he lands at 11 and I don't want to be late.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Yep.
All right, Jeremy.
I'm going to finish with my town. Let's see. As we all have talked about a little bit, the Brewers obviously start their series with the Cubs. Again, that'll be an interesting series because it's I-94. It's only 90-minute drive between the two, so they're closely located to each other. And for years,
real quick, I just want to know. I have a split question. Have they had any college teams come in and play them this week to stay active as a team? And do you like that there's no games being played for the Brewers on this mini bye week?
I think they've stayed loose. I do not think they've brought in any teams to play against them. I do know one of the interesting things that they said that they did do is that they had the Cubs-Padres series up on the Jumbotron so they could watch while they were practicing and kind of seeing what was transpiring. The Brewers are really a young team, so I don't know that this long of a break is going to be good for them. But Pat Murphy has got them playing really good, and loose. So I can only hope. I think it'll really come down to pitching. I really think it'll come down to pitching in this matchup this time. So I think it'll be interesting.
I was just curious your thoughts and if they did anything.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that they did anything like that. So, but they're also playing kind of inspired, by Ute. And I don't know if all of you know this, but the one of the guitarists that does the national anthem a lot of times, on his guitar it actually says Euchre on it. So they've done a couple of tributes to him. So I think they're playing Euchre inspired. So I hope that's enough to give them a little bit of an edge over the Cubbies this time. As for the Badgers travel to the Big House to play Michigan. The only question will be, honestly, is how much will they lose by? To be honest with you, I don't see them being very competitive against Michigan. I wish I could say differently. My 2 cents will be, depending on how bad it is, people have been calling for Luke Fickell's head already. If they would decide to part ways, it's a $25 million cost for the next couple years that he's under contract. And all I would say is, as much as I've been not a Luke Fickell fan, I don't believe you fire him unless you know who you want to replace him. So if you think there's somebody out there that you can get and you can afford to eat that $25 million, you do it. But if you don't, then don't just fire him just because, this is only the third season. Wisconsin is not a Michigan and Alabama recruiting kind of school. So Luke Fickell has tried to change how should I put this? The strength
Culture?
of Wisconsin, the culture, but the strength of Wisconsin. I think if you would have said, okay, what's the two positions that come out of Wisconsin, you'd say the offensive line and running backs. And I think this has become more of a quarterbacks league. So I think
I was saying defense because we have TJ Watt and Herberg.
We do.
And we had Russell Wilson too, but that was a quarterback.
Russell Wilson played for us for one season. We got him. He transferred there. And he's the only quarterback. But if you think about it, Monty Ball, Jonathan Taylor, we've had some other good running backs. Ron Dane, all of those running backs came through Wisconsin. So we used to be more of a running back central team, and I don't think we're recruiting to that strength. Because I think we used to have the ground and pound. We used to have running backs, and we used to have offensive linemen to make holes for those running backs. And I think we've gotten away from that part of the game. And the part of the problem with getting away from that part of the game is you recruited heavily in Wisconsin. And if you don't recruit what your strength was, you're trying to recruit quarterbacks. Well, let's face it, your top quarterbacks are not going to come to Wisconsin because it's not a quarterback school. So I think in NIL, it makes it harder. And Wisconsin doesn't have the money that Alabama, that Michigan does, and some of those schools as well. So I think it'll be a tough task. And as far as go ahead.
Could you also see it as a stepping stone school with the transfer portal? Like maybe a good kid coming in there, getting noticed, and then, kind of like the AAA team the Pirates are, who I forgot to mention have 16 ex-players in this playoff tournament right now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite a stepping stone school. I think it's a tier right below Michigan and them, but I don't know that you would use it to catapult you to one of those. I mean, I can tell you that last year, part of the problem is too, Wisconsin in the last 3 years, in the first game of the year, their quarterback went down. Last year we had Tyler Van Dyke from Miami that transferred from Miami up to Wisconsin, got injured the first game of the year, was out for the year. Same this year, we had, our quarterback went down. And I think that makes a big difference because I think the schools that aren't the top tier, your second string quarterback is nowhere near, because they're not, they weren't expected to play. They're not going to be your top tier quarterbacks. As far as the Packers, who in my opinion, lost last week, even though they tied, there's no way they should have been tied to. Jordan, let's face it, both offenses did really well. Like, both quarterbacks played really good games. But they have a bye this week, so I don't have to worry if they're going to win or lose because they're not even going to play. So, as far as the Hurricanes down here, they're going up to Florida State, playing Florida State. Like I said, I think that's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be a true test for Miami, and it's kind of interesting because Miami now will this season have played all of their rivals of the big in-state schools, because they played Florida Gators, they played USF, and now they're playing Florida State. So that doesn't happen very often. In fact, I don't think they're playing the Gators. I don't think they have them scheduled again on their schedule at all. So I think this is a very interesting year, but I think this will be a very true test for the Hurricanes to see if they're really worthy of where they're ranked right now.
I think they are.
I think it'll be interesting. I'm hoping, but we'll see what team shows up.
I am not a Florida State fan. Samir, you forgot to mention your team this week, the Tech.
Oh yeah, Tech has a bye this week. They beat Wake Forest. They're 5-0 for the first time since 2014. It didn't look good initially at first. They were down 20-3 at halftime. Wake Forest looked like the better team, and they were able to come back in the game. They tied the game late. They scored first in overtime, and Wake Forest actually scored and went for 2, but they didn't get it. So they avoid the upset. They're 5-0. They have a bye, and then they have Virginia Tech. And the way things are going, it seems like them and Miami are on a crash course to meet in the ACC championship. So that'll be interesting.
I'm ready for that. Two of my other favorite college teams. It's hard to root, but we'll see what happens.
That's true. With that, I'm going to do my last little plug here. South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It was written by my husband, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about media and how media has changed and evolved over the last 40-plus years. Get your copy today. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is great content. I can tell you Samir and Jeremy both write for us and have articles posted this week, so go check out our website and their articles. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us, and then also turn the notifications on so that you get notified whenever we go live, as well as all of the people that we have on our channel. Most of them have YouTube channels. Go subscribe to them too, because they're giving up their time to be on our channel. We hope you would subscribe as well to theirs. If you want to advertise, you can always call my husband Scott, 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Well, guys, this game that's on right now it's tied. It's actually a close game. So with that, I think we're going to call it quits so we all can go watch the game.
Sounds good.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week and enjoy all the games. Bye now.